Hey everybody, I'm David.
And I'm Edgar.
And we just got back from VRLA in Los Angeles, California, which is supposed to be one of the biggest VR expos of the year.
The biggest.
Yeah, it's supposed to be the biggest VR expo of the year. So we just wanted to talk a little bit about our experience there, some of the demos we saw, what we liked and what we didn't. So what's kind of interesting about the show is that it was marketed as the biggest VR expo of the entire year, but it was actually kind of small.
It was really small.
Really small. They used it was at the LA Convention Center, and they used just kind of a small area within the convention center in the West Hall to show off all of the vendors and the entire expos. So they probably had, would you say maybe 80 to 100 vendors?
Something.
50, yeah. I don't know.
It was not huge.
But it was pretty small. So they had some big vendors with big areas, but then lined along the walls were just like the smaller little groups that were doing little demos with Vive and stuff.
Mm-hmm. Well, what did you think of the event itself? Like, did you find anything interesting? Anything that struck you?
Yeah, there were a few demos that I thought were actually pretty interesting there. We had an ATV demo that we actually put a video out on called Ion Torque.
Check it out.
It was very so-so, the actual demo. Basically, you're riding an ATV with an Oculus Rift headset on. And what it's supposed to do is simulate kind of this alien riding experience where one person is driving the vehicle and the other person is shooting. So in this demo, I drove the vehicle while Edgar shot the turret. And I kind of wish that it was a little bit better than it was because it was a little bit choppy. It didn't really line up the way that we wanted it to. The FPS dropped a lot. What did you think about that?
I mean, I feel like I was left a little underwhelmed with every demo in there.
Yeah.
I came in with big expectations, right? You walk into this like fancy room with a lot of tech, and you're like, I've tried VR in the past and AR, and it's been the high end stuff,
right.
The Vive, stuff like that.
Yeah.
So when you come in and you see this like racer like ATVs and like they're like moving around,
sure.
right? And it's really cool.
Right.
But so I expect to go in there and see like some Halo graphics,
right.
and go all out. But it was all really, I mean, there was a lot of latency. The things didn't line up, and then there was a lot of little problems in the game. Yeah. Like I never knew like which were enemies that you could shoot,
right,
and which were not.
Because
sometimes things would be attacking you,
yeah,
and you would shoot them, and it wouldn't do anything.
Yeah.
Like you couldn't.
It was not very directed. Very interesting. I feel like they put a lot into the hardware here. The ATVs were they were
cool.
Really cool. Yeah. They basically were like scale models of ATVs. And in the game, you really feel like, you're in the same ATV that you're driving. But the problem with the game was that you kind of just didn't know what you were doing. And I talked about in the video that I did that you didn't have any really sort of direction. So the ATV would actually move and rumble, and they had it on this track, and it was chained down so that you wouldn't get thrown off. But they didn't put a lot of effort into the actual application itself, or at least they weren't running it on computers strong enough to handle, that wouldn't make sense.
Yeah, it's really bad graphics, and it's a not very well developed game. I think they were promoting the idea of a game like this more so than the actual game, right?
And I think what was cool about that is I could totally see this being in an arcade. Because you have arcades that have those Hydro Thunder boat riding games where you're flying through and it's shaking. Very much like that. If they were able to actually make it a better game, 3D Live, they had this big wall right in front of it that was just displaying graphics. It was LED lights that were doing all these graphics, and that was cool. We took some video of that, but overall, a little underwhelming for what we thought was there. Were there any other experiences that you particularly liked?
I was most excited about Hololens, Microsoft's Hololens, because I hadn't tried it in the past, and I don't think anyone in the team had, right? No.
Yeah, it was
the first time we checked it out. And so you look at these commercials, right? And it's like a fantasy world. You walk in, they walk into this empty room, and all of a sudden this headset creates a digital world of digital assistants walking around, animals, plants. Screens on the walls that you can move around and all these things, and it's really nothing like that. I mentioned in the video that we made for this that it looks like an improved Virtual Boy experience, right? It's bad graphics and like like there's a viewing like space. Like say this is your peripheral vision and like it's like right in the middle is this tiny little square where you can see actual content, right?
It was about a third.
So like it was not that great at all. And I mean it did a good job though.
Yeah,
it did a good job. Like everything like you could move around a butterfly and it kept it where it was supposed to be. And I've tried other AR or VR experiences where it's like it glitches and moves around and it doesn't know where the wall is and like all those things, right? And this did a very good job of that.
Yeah.
So
what we did there was it was an Easter egg hunt. So essentially they put Hololens on us and then we walked around this room that was kind of made of like 3D cardboard foam type thing. So it was very cartoony. But you were essentially looking for all these Easter eggs that if you stared at them long enough, they would break open and a lot of little mini gadgets and stuff would come out. And there's butterflies flying around and there's bunnies.
A dog.
Yeah, and so what was kind of cool, I think, about the HoloLens is that it tracked your space very well.
Yeah, it does.
If you look up and see a butterfly, when you look back down, if you look up again, it's in the exact same place.
Yeah.
Like, and it doesn't matter.
You can walk around there.
You can walk around, you're not connected to anything. Very good standalone, considering they were like, Super Mario type 3D. It wasn't.
It was like 8-bit.
Yeah, almost.
Almost, yeah.
But yeah, I think that was a pretty cool experience.
And but everything else was kind of like a failure.
It was, yeah.
I mean, the Hadouken game, I think it was called.
Yeah, we played this
Hadou,
something like that. That just used Gear VR.
Yeah, it used a Gear VR and this little bracelet that would I guess, take into account your movement.
Yeah.
Right? Like it would measure your movement. But I felt like it was very spotty.
It was really spotty.
The things you were supposed to shoot. So you were supposed to shoot at each other like a Hadouken, right? Like in Street Fighter, you throw like power balls at each other or something like that. And we were supposed to break these things that were floating around like above the other person's head. And it just like it kept moving around, like it wasn't always on top of the person's head, and the balls were just like sometimes it didn't register my movement, and it was a mess.
It was very much like a tech demo.
It was a tech demo,
and I couldn't get the shield to work. It was very early. They rented a pretty large space for it, so there was something there that I thought was kind of cool. It was called Finadick. And we didn't actually get to try this ourselves because the line was like around the corner. It was very long. But essentially, it's kind of like Omni, if you've seen Omni, where you can walk endlessly in this space. So it's like a treadmill that goes in all directions, and it's a square. So they strap you into this thing, you put a Vive on that's hanging from the ceiling, and you can kind of like walk in any direction, and the track will move with you. So I thought that was pretty cool, and I could see them implementing that into different arcades or first-person shooter games.
It would be great for first-person shooters.
VR. There's a lot of interesting first-person shooter games that are already coming out for things like Vive.
Yeah.
And it would be really cool if you could implement that. Obviously, no one's going to really just have that sitting in their house.
People buy more ridiculous things.
That's true. Someone very rich might.
Yeah.
But I could see that also being an arcade.
Probably an arcade. Yeah.
There were a lot of demos there that I could see like definitely growing the arcade scene a lot more. Japan already is opening up a bunch of VR arcades, so that happening in America could be pretty cool.
I think we have one in Utah too.
Yeah.
I forget the name.
Okay. But yeah, overall, there were a lot of very, very small groups that were doing small things. A lot of tech demos that were not quite ready yet. So I'm hoping that by next year's VRLA, a lot of these demos are a little bit more polished. Maybe it's a little bigger. It might be the biggest VR expo in the world, but it's not the biggest VR conference.
Yeah, definitely.
Even we went to Oculus Connect 3 last October, and that felt bigger than this, and that was just Oculus. So it was an interesting experience at least, and we got to try some cool demos. So I'm hoping that they evolve further in the future.
It was fun.
It was fun. It was a good time.
Will we go back next year?
We'll probably go back next year, depending on what's there.
If it grows.
Just see if it grows. Yeah. So overall, I think it was a good experience.
It was good.
Yeah.
It was good. Underwhelming, but good.
So if you guys want to check out any more about VRLA, we've got a couple articles, a couple videos up on the site. Make sure to stay tuned to VRSource.com, and we will see you later.